Hi everybody, Lisa here from Cool Kids Hub. So today I wanted to talk about how to deal with nap transitions in babies or toddlers. Now obviously you first need to have identified the signs that your little one is actually ready to drop a nap. Sometimes they can be sick or there's something else that's bothering them and their naps can be a bit all over the place and you might be tricked into thinking they're ready to drop a nap. But there are certain signs that your little one is ready to drop a nap. So I do have another video that talks about how to identify these signs, and I'll put the link to that video down in the description to this one. But the first thing you really want to do is make sure that your little one is actually ready to drop a nap. Now that you've identified, yes, my little one's ready to drop a nap, there are really two approaches you have, either a child-led approach or a parent-led approach. So a child-led approach is exactly what it says. It's where you're going to let your little one, your baby or your toddler decide, lead the process of dropping this nap. Now, what I would say in this time is don't force naps on your child. What you're going to do is put them down for a nap, but if they're not asleep within 10 to 15 minutes, you just get them back up, wait another 15 minutes, try again, and if they don't go to sleep, you're getting them back up again. Now, the advantages of this approach is that obviously, it's being led by your child, your toddler, your baby, but the negative is that it can take longer to transition them from, say, 3 naps to 2 or whatever the case may be, 2 down to 1. And sometimes you can have a grumpy baby for a few months while they work it out whether they actually want to nap or not. So the other approach is more parent-led, and this is where you are going to that your little one's ready to drop a nap, so you're not going to be putting them down for that nap, and you're going to do other things to transition them out. The advantage of this obviously is it's a lot quicker, and yes, you'll have a grumpy baby, but for a shorter period of time. So let's just talk about what are the sort of 7 steps or the 7 tips to help your little one transition and drop a nap. So the first thing is you gradually want to push your baby's awake windows. So if you know the little one's going to drop a nap and maybe you're going from 3 to 2, you start to push out their awake windows by say 15 increments, and then you put them down as you would normally and let them have their nap. The next day you wait a couple of days and you push them out to 30 minutes until eventually that nap has dropped itself completely. So when they would go down for their normal nap, don't put them down, wait 20 minutes, then put them down for their nap, leave it a couple of days, next day push it out another 15-20 minutes, and so on until they've dropped their nap. And it won't take more, like I said, than a week or two to drop that. So what you can do, because now you're extending their wake time, you're going to have them a little bit cranky potentially in that time. So the next thing you can do is make sure you change the activity. So let's say your little one is quite happily playing on their play gym or on the floor, and then all of a sudden you start to see those tired signs, rubbing of the eyes, pulling of the ears, the sneezing, all those signs that your little one is tired. Then you might need to get involved. That's going to be the time to change the activity. What you're trying to do is keep them awake for that little bit longer, right? So this is the time you play with them a little bit, change the activity, get some different toys out, really just trying to take their attention off of the fact that they're tired to push them out for that little bit longer. The third thing you want to do is try and expose them to light. So again, when you see those tired signs, a great change of activity is to actually get outdoors if you can, to make the lights a bit brighter, because light does kind of send the opposite signals to darkness. It tells your baby or your young child it's actually time to be awake because it's quite light. So if you can, take them outside. If it's weather's not permitting, like I said, try and make sure that your lights are inside or on, or turn them on to make the rooms brighter, because this will just help you with keeping them awake for that little bit longer. The next thing is make sure that when it is then time to sleep, you do the reverse. You minimize the light, keep everything dim, turn off lights, close blinds, keep it as dark as possible to send those signals to your little one that, okay, you've extended them, but now is actually the time for you to go to sleep. So the next tip is to make sure you're flexible with bedtime. Now, an ideal bedtime is around 7:30 for a baby or toddler. So what you might find when they're dropping a nap, you have to do one of two things. Either you have to bring the bedtime forward quite a bit, even sometimes as much as an hour, because your little one is really, really tired. Or all of a sudden one day your little one decides to take a nap right towards the end of the day, and now you have to push bedtime a little bit later. don't worry too much about this, because once they've dropped that nap and they're used to the new routine of one less nap, which could take a couple of weeks, then you can move their bedtime back to that 7:30 mark by bringing it forward in increments of 15 minutes, or pushing it out in increments of 15 minutes to get them back to the bedtime that you would ideally like for them. But there is that time in those couple of weeks where they might go to bed earlier or later, so just be flexible with the bedtime. The next thing is make sure you are staying consistent with your bedtime and nap time routine. Your bedtime routine, really, if you don't already have one, there's a link in the description with a great bedtime routine, and you use a shortened version of that for naps. But just make sure you're still sticking to those bedtime and nap time routines, because this still lets your little one know that this is actually the time for sleep. Yes, they might be sleeping one less nap, but on the times that they're sleeping, you want to make sure that they know it's time to sleep and they're actually going to sleep. And then the last tip is really don't put pressure on yourself or your little one. When they drop a nap, there can be a couple of weeks where it's really challenging, because some days they sleep, some days they don't. They're obviously a little bit more cranky, so they're more whingy than normal. So just try and just relax. Know that the nap transition period ends, and then they'll go back and they'll be sleeping back into their routine of, so if they've gone from 3 to 2 or 2 down to 1. It does take a couple of weeks of adjustment for your little one. For them to just get used to that longer awake period, and to get used to then obviously having that less sleep overall. And really those are the 7 tips or 7 steps. So gradually push your baby's awake times a little bit longer each day. Change the activities when you see those tired signs. Take them out into the light, put on the lights. That's the third thing. Stimulate their awake signals. The reverse is when it's time to nap, make sure you're dimming everything, keeping the lights low, closing the blinds, so you're sending those sleep signals to them. Be flexible with the bedtime. If you have to bring it forward an hour, or if you have to push it out, don't worry, just be flexible in that time. Keep to your bedtime and nap time routine, and don't put pressure on yourself. The period will not last too long, and if you use the parent-led approach, yes, it will be quicker. But even if you choose to use a child-led approach and let your little one lead when they nap and when they don't, they will eventually drop that nap, because naturally their bodies no longer want that much sleep. But just know it will take a little bit longer when you choose a child-led approach. All right, everybody, that's it for today. Till next time, bye.